It gives me immense pleasure and it's a privilege actually, to introduce the next presenter. He's a special presenter. We do not know if you should call him keynote because the dress code is business casual, but he shows up in a hoodie, I guess. What do you wear? Hoodie. Silicon Valley business casual. And we met Raghava at TiEcon Silicon Valley. You just cannot not like Raghava. It's an instantly likable person. And you know that likability is an unfair competitive advantage. It just is. So Raghava is an artist who's not starving, not a starving artist. And that's a rarity. So he's one of the artists who has figured out how to make money. He's named by CNN as one of the 10 most remarkable people of 2010. Hold your applause, there's more to come. Among the first artists to be inducted into the National Geographic Society, and 5-time TED speaker, an artist and a tech entrepreneur. He just went to Silicon Valley, moved from New York City, and how many days did you take to raise your capital? I don't even know. So he raised capital just by driving around town, and they just saw him and they gave him money. Please join me in welcoming Raghava KK. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Am I allowed to do it from here? Super. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me here. I'm sorry about the business casual. This is our professional attire. I consider myself one of the luckiest people on planet Earth because just think about this. When I was in high school, just for the track record, every male member in my family is distinguished and went to IITs, the IIMs. And I was groomed like everyone else to follow suit. Unfortunately for my dad, I had the gift of the gab. And so I went to him when I was in the 11th grade, and I said, Pa, he used to lecture us about education. He said, your stupid physics textbooks, they're hijacked by Industrial Revolution. This is not education. And he had all these fancy ideas about how education was about learning how to learn, not about the stupid formulas. So I said, oh, I love that philosophy. It sort of resonates with me. And I went to him and I said, Pa, what is the purpose of education? And he sat down, he thought about it, he loved those questions. He said, Raghava, education is about learning how to learn. It's about good citizenship. It's about, emotional independence. I don't want you to become a wreck. You have to be emotionally strong. And you have to be financially, of course, independent. I said, all these are wonderful. I said, Pa, I decided I'm going to do all of these things. He very emotionally came to give me a hug. I said, hold, why do I have to study if I do all of this stuff? So I'm going to come back to you in a year. I'm going to quit school and come back to you in a year and show you that I can do all of this. And I used his own philosophy against him and quit formal education in the 11th grade to become a cartoonist, the opposite of everyone else in my family. But I want to stop for a second and show you this, since this is up. When we looked at distance versus time, physics, right? You learn these graphs. My dad used to look at these graphs and say, forget the slope, forget the acceleration. Look at this graph and tell me, is that driver drunk? Why did he suddenly slow down? What happened to him when he was driving? Is he elbowed? Is he a learner? Tell me the story of the graph. He said data is useless if you can't see story, if you can't see humanity in data. So that was my upbringing. Can we go to the next slide, please? And so I quit formal education to become a cartoonist. Now, how do I sustain myself as a cartoonist? I did these large cartoons, but the newspapers wouldn't support me because they would pay 100 rupees, and I could never live off of that. So I actually started my own cartoon school to teach children how to cartoon, because children are the most creative creatures on planet Earth, and they, in turn, taught me how to be creative and cool. So that's how I began my journey. I taught over 5,000 children all over the world. I came back. I took a one-year sabbatical that stretches now, I think, 18, 19 years, I don't know. And a lot of my values and my ideas have come from children and from the creative world. I met, next. Could we play this video? I did not know how to paint. I wanted to go beyond the line into color. And so I actually decided to learn how to paint myself. I want you to see how I paint. So I didn't know how to paint, so I used my body, my hands, my legs, and painted these large pictures of my then girlfriend. And this is an ode to her. Thank you. I started painting, and for me, painting allowed me to really express myself unconditionally. And I wanted to see the world. I wanted to fall in love. The biggest problem with Indian men, at least South Indian Tamilian men, the ones that I'm familiar with, is they're pathologically emotionally deficient. They don't know how to express themselves emotionally. So I wanted to learn about falling in love. I wanted to understand emotional intelligence. I met this beautiful girl, and believe me, she's very beautiful. I married up. Met this wonderful girl, fell in love, and she was 18, I was 19, and I decided to move into her little dorm room in college, and she became my agent, selling my paintings from door to door. We traveled all over the United States, and before you know it, kiss a girl and you have a pile of children on top of you. I have my 4th baby, which is not included there, but I have 4 kids. And for me, life couldn't be better. Just think about it. I quit school. I started by selling my works at $100 each. Today, my works sell at $250,000 of work. I met the most beautiful girl. I have a perfect life, and it couldn't get better. I'm collected by the best. But something really sad happened in my life. A couple of years ago, maybe 8 years ago, my mother, who's also very beautiful, fell very sick. And all of a sudden, my works turned dark. I was painting from the gut of my stomach. And it was not this flamboyant, great, perfect life that I was used to. And nobody wanted to buy these paintings. Nobody wanted to. All the Bollywood stars that bought my work didn't want to have anything to do with me. I moved to New York in 2008 because I saw the president, the young people come and elect Obama, and I thought that's hope. And I came here with nothing, a dog, my wife, and I started life again in the United States. I was lucky enough to present my story at this conference called TED, and that changed my life. For the first time, I was not being judged based on how much my painting sells for. I was not being judged on the politics of aesthetics, whether someone loves my painting or not. I was judged for the ideas that I had. And those ideas simply came from not being not being hijacked by any institution. And I suddenly felt that this is what makes me me. Not the paintings, not the collectors, not anything else. It's my ideas. And I wanted to take it to every world possible. And I thought, as an artist, I wanted to collaborate with behavioral economists. I collaborated with, I don't know if you know Paul Simon from Simon and Garfunkel. He and I did an entire tour together. And this suddenly gave me a chance to be more than just a good painter or a good storyteller. I could actually use my ideas. And I fundamentally saw the world differently. And let me give you one example, right? In physics, they say you move in time. Time is a linear progression, right? You start in the past and you move to the future. Fair enough? Now, for me, I thought that was absurd. It was stupid. Because the only point of reference is yourself. So time is moving backwards towards you. You're only conscious of the now. So for me, I always saw myself right in the middle and time going backwards. And I would reinterpret physics. Oh, thank you very much. I would reinterpret things through my perspective. So I actually worked with neuroscientists, and we built these brainwave headsets that looked at your neurological state. And if you came to a show of mine, it would read your mind and start reflecting what you're thinking. You would bring your bias to my artwork. So this is an old lady who starts crying if you feel sad and starts smiling so she became an emotional mirror. Now, I also worked with musicians, scientists. I spent over 5 years dabbling in working with data scientists, working with neuroscientists, working with data visualization people, with noise cancellation people, and for the first time, an artist had a role to play over here. So what the hell am I doing here at TiEcon? I'm in Silicon Valley because I see that fundamentally we don't understand pictures, and we are moving into a visual world. And let me make this argument here, because I want all of you to think about it as you build out knowledge systems of the future. If 80% of our brains are wired for visual processing, why is 80% of knowledge verbal? I think that's a fundamental problem. So I think it's time we build a visual internet. The internet is 25 years old. It's got 1 billion connections, billion websites that document who we are. But the true documents of our time are actually the photographs. There are 4.7 trillion, way stronger than the internet. And my argument is if we can connect these, we can build a far more powerful internet, the visual internet. But wait a minute, there's a problem. The problem is pictures don't behave as easily as words do. The fundamental difference is that pictures are multivalent. They mean different things to different people. It's all about perspectives. And in the art world, we say a picture is both a window and a mirror. A window in that you could look inside a picture and say, oh, that's a cow, that's the scenery, that's a beautiful girl, beautiful boy. But a window, a mirror reflects how you feel about it. See here, Google can look at that and start tagging it with Neil Armstrong, the flag, the eagle, the moon. But what it can't do is it can't tell me that anything is possible. It can't tell me that this means hope for some people. It can't tell me that this means love of exploration. So my dream was to put together the smartest people that I know on planet Earth to build knowledge systems that can understand how we ascribe meaning to photos. And so the only way we could do that was actually to rethink mobile discovery, to rethink interfaces. And I won't get into details because that'll be a pitch. But my objective is to say, bring in artists to rethink knowledge systems. And right now, our metadata on our photos don't look like just objective. There's a subjective. It's a function of you. And so we're redefining even the standard for what a picture is. And ultimately, I am the product of both an artist and an engineer. My dad is an engineer. My mother is an artist. And I feel it's time we bring the two together. And we have more artists amongst all of you. Thank you so much. Lovely being here.